I do want to say that these 9:30 on Sunday morning pods are really interfering with me watching my online church service.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Mass for shut-ins.
Mass for shut-ins.
On this episode of the John 1911 podcast, the Glock P80, Commander Red goes down like a little bitch, the ICARUS 320 module, and Ironman is real.
Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Danny, Marky, and Freeze, and this is episode 186 of the John 1911 podcast. I'm emphasizing 186 because last week I called out the wrong podcast number. So
did you really?
Yes, I did.
I didn't even catch it.
So when I call it out, but then like I go to publish it, I realize it's the wrong number. So whatever, no one cares.
Whatever.
So
we've been doing this for so long that actually we've done it 186 times.
Yeah.
But,
so
I mean, it's like they all play. Yeah. Why not? Everything's my freaking fault.
Dude, you're the one that were like, oh man, we got to think about doing a podcast. We got to do a podcast. Of course, the rest of us had to figure out how to make that happen. But Mr. Good Idea Fairy over here. So here you are, 9:30 in the morning on a Sunday after working all night. Blame yourself.
I drive the tanks. I don't work on them.
Ouch. Okay.
Yeah. Comes back to bite you in the ass, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I spent the entire day yesterday at the range opening up the spine trail.
That's awesome.
So I did not see any news. So Danny, do we still have a country, or is Fort Sumter started yet?
Well, it depends on if you want to get your hair done illegally.
Hey, you know what? That was a setup.
He was set up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Well, actually, the mayor of San Francisco, it's all over the news this morning. You know whose fault that she got her hair done is, don't you?
Oh,
Trump's.
Oh, of course. Hey, look.
The mayor blamed Trump for her getting her hair done.
Hey, look, if I can get my hair cut illegally during a COVID lockdown, why can't the third person in line for the presidency of the United States get her hair done? That's all I'm saying.
See, that's one of the problems with communists is the fundamental problem with communism is, look, I think we can all agree if you keep an open mind, the idea of like you write down what communism is on paper and you're like, everybody gets taken care of, everybody gets what they need, no more suffering and no more whatever. You're like, okay. So, I mean, like it's like a bad outcome. But what happens is people that are invested in communism, when the shit doesn't work, because it's about political power, they are not able to admit that they fucked up or that this is fucked up. We got to change the plans. They always have to blame somebody. They always have to, it's always somebody else's fault. So here's a 5-year plan. The shit doesn't work. Blame the fucking farmers. Here's a 5-year plan. The shit doesn't work. Blame the Jews. And it's Nancy Pelosi and these commies of, look. Stroke. You be a man. Be like Donald Trump. Stroke a check to your side chick. Have him sign an NDA and move on. Like the rest
Jerry Springer.
Us.
Like Jerry Springer. Yes. Yeah. That's digging deep into the vaults, my friend.
Oh my God, that is deep. Did Jerry? Refresh for the listener that doesn't know. You know what? So we live basically in Cincinnati. I'm going to let the listener kind of know what this is. We basically live in Cincinnati. And if you are looking out at the news and you're embarrassed by all of these dumbass mayors around the country, just keep in mind that Cincinnati used to have Jerry Springer as its mayor. And Freeze is going to explain to you what happened.
So when Jerry was mayor of Cincinnati, he used to, when he would get off work, like to hang out at the Second Street Saloon, which is not there anymore because Second Street's not there anymore because we have a football stadium and a baseball stadium in its place now. However, he also had a habit of picking up prostitutes. and instead of being like a good, God-fearing, solid American and paying a prostitute with cold, hard cash, he used to write checks. And
what a moron!
Well, no, it was a solid business practice up until one of his checks bounced. And then he got into trouble.
And Jerry Springer was a guy who kind of thought he had a political future. Like Jerry Springer was probably thinking one day he would run for governor or run for Congress.
Look, he was a prominent attorney. He became mayor of a city. And then, and actually, honestly, he probably came out with a better career as a talk show host. And well, hell, now he's a freaking judge on one of these judge shows. He's probably had a better career than if he would have actually went into politics. That bounced whore check is probably the best thing that Jerry Springer ever did in his life.
Well,
that bounced whore, let that phrase hang. That bounced whore check.
I'm probably the only one that went to the Jerry Springer show twice.
You did not.
Well, that's because you live in Chicago, man.
Well, yeah. It was.
I mean, I'm not going to drive all the way to Chicago to see Jerry. He was our fucking mayor. I've seen Jerry passed out face down on a bar before. That's
well. It was. Let's just say illuminating.
I see your. I saw Jerry Springer twice. And raise you, I saw him passed out on a bar.
You win. I'm folding. Kenny Rogers got to know when to fold them. I can't top that. No, I can't. You win.
Was it Jerry Springer? It wasn't Jerry Springer. I'm trying to think who was the talk show host that, I don't know, like they had a big fight with the Ku Klux Klan and they were throwing chairs at each other, got their face smashed. Was that Geraldo? Or was that Jerry Springer? I can't even.
No, I think that was Geraldo.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I think it was, no, I'm pretty sure it was Geraldo. He took like a folding chair to the face.
And I've been hit with a folding chair, and if you take it the wrong way, if you take the flat end, you're generally okay. If you take the skinny end,
you take the skinny end, you're in a world of shit.
You notice it. If you take it to the face, you're really going to notice it. So okay, Danny, what's going on your side of the podcast? Since I've been cutting trees, Freeze has been bouncing whore checks. What do you got going on?
What have I got going on? Well, of course, the mainstream media, as we know, are trying to control the entire Antifa narrative. Have you seen what they've been doing? There was an Antifa riot, for 100 days now in Portland or whatever. They were throwing Molotov cocktails at the police. Well, let's just say they're not the most accurate with their arms. They hit their own protester and set them on fire. So the police, it's on video, are pulling the guy burning legs out of the Antifa group that was just firebombed by his own.
Okay, so in the middle of the night, I was working, and I'm always on my phone checking shit out. And I actually saw the video. And let me tell you the first thing that came to my mind.
Dumbass.
No, what? No. I started cackling like a schoolgirl. Because, okay, Elmore Leonard is an author. And he wrote a book called Get Shorty, which they made a movie starring John Travolta. I don't know if anyone's ever seen it. It's actually a damn good movie. But there was a sequel to the movie called Be Cool. And in the sequel, Be Cool, Vince Vaughn is in it, and he plays this wannabe rapper. He's a white guy, talks like a black guy and all this stuff. Well, at the end of the movie, they're actually The Rock is in it. Well, they're filming a music video, and without going into the detail of the movie, Vince Vaughn gets caught on fire, and he's like running across the stage on fire, which they actually use in the actual video in the movie, which is fine. But as soon as I saw this dude running on fire, I immediately thought of Vince Vaughn and Be Cool, because it was kind of like a comedy movie.
There was an Antifa video before they were saying it was Antifa riots. And we may have even published it. There was a black guy, and he had like pretty serious dreads, as I recall. And he ran up a stairwell, and he had I think it was a Molotov cocktail in his hand, and it was lit, and he was going to throw it through a door. Well, the thing was open at the top, so when he goes to chuck it like a baseball, like over his head, he's going to whip it forward. It basically dumps burning gas all over him.
Oh, that's awesome.
And, that dude, I bet he has third-degree burns, at least 60% of his body.
And look, that in itself is awesome too. Now, some people will say, wow, that's kind of harsh and cruel to say. But look, this falls under the overused phrase, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Look, if you're going to throw Molotov cocktails, regardless of who you're throwing them at, you have to, look, it's a bottle filled with a flammable liquid, usually gasoline, with a freaking rag stuck in it. Dude, you have to expect shit to happen.
I think a lot of people, like when I kind of have this, I never really verbalized it, but a lot of people, I'm not afraid of fire. I'm certainly not, but I have learned, like I used to make my own fireworks as a kid, and fireworks are fine. I'm not afraid of explosives. I'm more cautious around fire than I am explosives. And like, I don't even, sometimes, like in our industry, there's flamethrowers, and there's things that that people can do, or options. Like, I have zero interest in any of that. Like, if someone came to me and said, "Hey, you want to shoot the flamethrower?" I'd be like, "Nah, we'll pass on that." I would not want to even be picking up trying to throw a Molotov cocktail.
I want to shoot the flamethrower.
Yeah, you can. Well, you can shoot it, and when you set your beard hair on fire on video, we'll go ahead and get 1 million views, and maybe and
then I will look like Vince Vaughn on fire running across the video.
No, you'll be like Richard Pryor lighting a match. Remember, Richard Pryor's on stage. He lit a match, and he kind of jiggled across his face, and he's like, "What's this?" And he goes, "Richard Pryor running down the street."
Yeah.
Well, Marky, did you get that? Did you get that story I sent you about? I can't remember now who it was arrested, and they had a flamethrower. And I asked you, where the hell could they even buy a flamethrower from?
That's right, you did. You can buy flamethrowers. There's even you can actually even get fully functional military surplus flamethrowers from like World War II and the Korean War. Are they maybe they're destructive devices? I can't even remember.
But look, you can make your own flamethrower.
What's his name? Elon Musk made them, and it was really just made out of a heat gun that they use on roofs.
Look, all you got to do is have a sprayer, like a lawn sprayer that you spray like weed killer down with. All you need is that. Or I think the Elon Musk flamethrower was based on a super soaker.
Was it that guy that the police shot and killed that shot the Trump protester in Portland that possibly had it? I really can't remember.
No, the guy that had the flamethrower, he was known as Commander Red, and he's the one kid that was crying when he got arrested.
In a fetal position, crying when they arrested him.
Yeah, that's the flamethrower guy. Which again, he looked just like a guy on the internet. Like, he's Commander fucking Red, and like he's a badass. and then he's crying. I'm Commander Red. It's like, I tell you what, these commies are dangerous fucks. They're crazy.
Fiddleback
fucks. Fiddleback 47.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry. Fiddleback 47. My bad. And that's Danny. That's an old joke going way back.
Yeah, and we're not going to say who that's about, but that's a joke we used to make about somebody in the industry.
I'm sure you two will enlighten me someday on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the difference between
off pod will enlighten you on Fiddleback 47. Yes,
that is an inside industry joke that is to stay within the John 1911 Armory family, or we're going to get hate from somebody out there. So
and possibly a lawsuit.
Possibly a lawsuit. So suddenly Freeze, Mr. Hey everybody, you can make a flamethrower with a fucking garden sprayer is now worried about a lawsuit. Garden sprayer, and I'm like, wait a minute, should there be some kind of like backflow check on it or something? Like, I don't know if I would hey, I would put jelly gasoline in a garden sprayer and try to make I think you'd blow yourself up.
Look, I did not say that you wouldn't turn into a Richard Pryor match. I'm just saying it can be done. I take no responsibility for the safety of it. I mean, look, is
this
it
is
UL?
Why we don't have sponsors.
No,
I'm just saying.
It's not UL rated.
It's okay. All right. The John 1911 podcast, not UL rated.
Did you? All right. Well, back to my side of the aisle. Did you see? It's almost like an orchestrated movement, but I really think they're trying to get Biden not to debate his Democrat handlers.
They've already picked the debate moderators. There's no way Biden cannot debate.
No,
never
say never. Chris Wallace, I think, is the first debate moderator.
Wallace is one. Then there's a girl from I can't remember what. Then there's going to be a third one. I mean, he can't.
But look, throwing Danny a bone here. I don't necessarily know if there's going to be more than one debate. I mean, I know they've got moderators lined up for 3 debates, but I think there will be one debate. Absolutely. No ands, ifs, or buts. Whether a second or third debate, honestly, if Biden comes off really, really bad on the first debate, I would be willing to bet that that's it.
Well, I think the exact opposite, Freeze. I think if Biden does really good, Biden's bar is so low, and Trump's bar is pretty high at a debate. Biden just has to – I don't know what's going on with Biden. They may be shooting him up with amphetamines or something, but if they can get him through a debate and he doesn't start drooling at the mouth and fall asleep and, forget where he's at, they're going to be like, it's a win for him. Trump has to look like he's not crazy. If Biden gets through if Biden gets through the first debate and doesn't look like a crazy or doesn't look like a freaking weekend at Bernie's, there will be a cry for no more debates because they don't want to risk it more than once. If Biden has a bad first debate, they will want to have a second and a third. I think you're right, but opposite.
I see your point. I see your point, and I don't disagree that that's not valid. I mean, that very well could be the case. But if Joe Biden somewhere during the first debate leaves his podium, walks up, grabs Trump by the shoulders, and sniffs his neck, Biden is done. Biden is done.
Yeah.
Well, something happened in Kenosha the other day when Biden was there. Did you see the video of the girl asking the question? She took the piece of paper and she said, I will not ask the scripted question. I'm going to ask my own question. Threw the piece of paper away. Biden was a deer in the headlights.
She didn't ask a question. She just went on with the soliloquy for 15 minutes like she was freaking Hamlet.
Exactly.
I mean, she didn't have a question. I mean, look, do campaigns do this? Yeah, they all do it. At least the first couple. I mean, even for these podcasts, we have a rundown, an outline, things we may want to talk about.
Sure.
It's not that big of a deal. I mean, it is and it isn't. I guess it all depends on who you are. But Donald Trump is a different politician. Donald Trump is Mr. Loquacious and just fucking runs his suck and can fucking. You ask him a question, Donald Trump will never. Donald Trump is incapable of saying, "I don't have the answer right now. I'm going to get back to you on that." Donald Trump is incapable. Yeah,
he will make up an answer.
He will make up. Literally, Trump will make up an answer.
Well, here's my question then. In Biden's, let's say, mental state or whatever, without something scripted or teleprompter, do you actually think he's that good on his feet at being extemporaneous?
No. 10 years ago, yes. 10 years ago, yes, but not today.
Yeah, politics aside, I mean, me just looking, I mean, I'm trying to be generous here. I'm not being political. I'm not talking about the president. I'm not talking about Antifa. I'm not talking about the fucking election or 2020 or gun rights or any of that stuff. Biden is not the same person he was a decade ago. He has suffered a mental decline, and I would feel bad for him.
Look, I mean, again, all politics aside, regardless of running for president and all that, but if you go back and look at Biden's speeches from 10, 12, 15 years ago and listen to him talk, he's good. He's very good at it. You listen to him talk now, dude, he is not good at it. I mean, he definitely has suffered a decline. Absolutely.
Yeah, we talked about this on pod some years ago. Biden, the average person at home doesn't really appreciate Biden's reputation inside of Washington for the past 40 years. Some people liked him. Some people disliked him, maybe politically. But he was always very well liked inside of Washington because he's known as a very affable and like Biden had a lot of power because he had a lot of friends, and he wasn't a politician that was real stilted and stunted. Like Bob Dole, this is another example, and it kind of pissed me off. And I learned a lot about politics as a kid. I've mentioned this in the past. I remember when Bob Dole was they rolled out Bob Dole, I think, to run against Clinton. Because Bob Dole was, I don't know, majority leader in the Senate or senior leader in the Senate. And, Bob Dole is this old school guy. And he used to do old school things when he would campaign. He would, refer to himself in third person.
Bob Dole.
Bob Dole's not going to do this, and Bob Dole's not going to do that. Like, he would, and Trump's many ways like that. But, and they used to make fun of Dole. Dole was very Dole. You'd get him in front of a camera, it was like automatic. Put a stick up his ass, and he would just be like, he would go into this weird kind of I have to be a robot and say certain things. This is how we do it. But that's not the point I wanted to make. They destroyed. He was wiped out politically, and he retired. And after Bob Dole was out of politics, it wasn't a goddamn 2 years later. Bob Dole, he started showing up on the nightly shows. He started doing commercials for, I think it was Viagra, because he had to have some surgery. He was an older man, and he would show up on these shows, and he was hilarious. And then all these politicians, even Democrats, would come out. They'd be like, Bob Dole was the funniest guy in Washington. Everybody loved Bob Dole. They literally said he was the funniest guy in Washington. And I remember seeing that being like, you motherfuckers. All you did was tell us that Bob Dole was a stick in the mud fuddy-duddy, and he couldn't connect to the average American voter in middle America. But the Bob Dole that I saw on television joking with, David Letterman and whoever else about doing Viagra commercials and all these funny things, I was like, that guy could have done a lot better in that campaign. And the entire city and political establishment and news establishment knew that, but they lied about it. They covered it up. And Biden's the same guy. Biden was the same guy in Washington.
Just as a side note on Bob Dole, when Bob Dole was, I think he ran for president against Clinton. Obviously he did against Obama. But I've always said that they should shelve Bob Dole and run his wife, Elizabeth Dole. Elizabeth Dole, I honestly, truly believe to this day that she would have had a viable chance of becoming the first female president of the United States. She is a sharp woman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
she became a senator.
Yeah.
In her own right. Well, actually, fun fact,
I think from North Carolina, I believe.
Yeah, they're originally from Kansas, and then I don't know if they moved to North. I didn't quite understand how, because he's from Kansas. Maybe after Bob retired, they moved to the Carolinas. I wasn't really sure. But fun fact, kids, when you're driving around on the road today, hold on, let me do this on a computer. When you're driving around on the road today, and you see a car in front of you, and it's got two tail lights on either side. Then there's a third tail light, like a brake light, that's either in the window or up on the roof. That third light is called a Dole light, and it's because Elizabeth Dole pushed to have that put on cars for safety reasons.
When she was Secretary of Transportation. Wasn't it?
The Secretary of Labor or Transport?
I thought it was
Transportation would be for the light. I don't know. I don't remember if she was.
She was Secretary of Labor at one point in time.
Maybe it was then. I think she was Secretary of Transportation.
She was such an insider in the Doles, just like all of them. Like the same people go in and they just shuffle jobs on the Republican side and Democratic side. When you're staffing up an administration, you look to your party and you pick your people, and that's kind of how. People work multiple times in administration. So,
hey, what was that headline about Biden doing something with one of the Secret Service's girlfriends or something? Did you see that?
You know what? Yeah, I did hear something about that. It was okay. So apparently, when Biden was vice president, they had a Christmas party with all like the Secret Service, the Navy personnel, all the people that catered to the vice president. And apparently he grabbed the tit of a Secret Service agent's either wife or girlfriend. And the Secret Service agent, they had to pull him back because from what I understand from the article, he was going to like jack Biden up.
And the Secret Service agent is one of Biden's detail.
Yes.
Really?
The vice president lives, the official residence for the vice president is the U.S. Naval Observatory. And that's a naval facility, and then he gets Secret Service protection. So the Secret Service protection at this party are the guys designated for his detail, and then the Navy people at the party are the people that run the facility in his residence.
Exactly. And anyway, from what I understand, that after the incident, basically the Christmas parties ended because everyone refused to attend them because basically Joe Biden is a creepy motherfucker.
Yeah, that is an unconfirmed report. I've seen headlines on it, but I can't confirm it. And apparently, the Secret Service has magically. They're claiming the Secret Service is saying all the paperwork regarding the incident and the discipline that took place for the agent has been destroyed. But the way they did it, they basically confirmed something happened.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're like, because I guess they destroy records after so many years or whatever.
I don't think they're supposed to. But the Secret Service technically has, traditionally, the Secret Service has the president, the PPD, the Presidential Protection Detail. They have a policy, and their policy is to not, because they are around these people like 24/7. They see all the family. They see like dinners. They see arguments. They see when people are shitting their brains out because they got, they see all of it. And so they kind of have this professional. The PPD has this professional idea that we're not going to. You can conduct your life normally, and you can pretend like we are not here, and we're not going to gossip to the newspapers, and we're not going to put shit out because that's the only way this is going to work. And the only time I can ever recall something like this ever coming out was when there were unconfirmed reports when Bill Clinton was going through his Monica Lewinsky scandal, and Hillary Clinton supposedly in the White House, in the residence, picked up a lamp and threw it at Bill. You remember that one?
I don't remember the lamp throwing incident, but I mean, frankly, if I was Hillary, I'd have thrown more than a lamp.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you look at Hillary's mug, it looks like she got hit with a lamp.
What the hell? I mean, Bill's out there cigar banging chicks.
Cigar banging. Oh my God! Hey,
dude, realize how much that cigar would go for on eBay today if it was still around?
Would you actually?
Here's
light
the thing:
it up
in Washington, it may still be around. You can't never discount that.
No,
that bitch kept that dress. That bitch kept that dress with that dirty shit on it and hung it in her closet. There's all kinds of look in Washington. There is another rule. There's all these little rules, and the other one is it's like the little black book rule. It's like you're gonna fuck me, I'm gonna fuck you. And if somebody has that cigar, I guarantee you that cigar wasn't destroyed by Bill Clinton, and somebody can identify what that is. They have it. Because people keep shit like that in Washington.
I'm sure that cigar's not around anymore because I'm sure Bill sat there and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to taste her twice. And he fired it up.
Well, maybe it was just a tip Orello.
Now, look, Bill Clinton didn't smoke cigarillos. Trust me.
Tip Orellos.
Oh, God.
But look, no, but I mean, seriously, the getting back to the original thing is, I don't recall Hillary throwing a lamp at Bill. It doesn't shock me, but I also think that that's something that the Secret Service would, just kind of like fucking delete out of their.
Yeah, it was never. It was always a rumor. It was a rumor that went around. It was never an official story, so you never could officially. Definitively write anything about it, but the rumor mills and the trade papers that traded in political rumors always said it. And
you know what actually shocks me is with Hillary's runs basically over, Bill out of the picture and all the other stuff. Why those two even stay married?
Money and politics.
Yeah, I mean,
look, they don't live together. I mean, their husband and wife.
I don't know if that's true.
No, they're both. I don't know what they've been doing over the past couple of years, but they're always traveling, giving speeches and whatnot, and they're never together. And I believe
that's true.
I mean, Hillary, I think her residency is New York City. And I don't believe Bill's is.
She has a house in. Oh shit!
Well, shit. She's probably got a half a dozen houses.
No, well, she might now because she's not really running for president anymore. Because there's certain things decorum-wise that you don't do if you're going to run for president, like drive a Mercedes. There's a Pat Buchanan joke there. She's got a house in what's the fancy neighborhood outside of New York City for East? Bedminster maybe, or is it what's the county up there?
I
have Sussex. No clue.
It might be Suffolk. I think she has a house up there, and I believe they purchased the house next door, and that's where they parked the Secret Service. But yeah, Bill.
Speaking about New York City, did you see what Governor Cuomo said about Trump not coming there?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was humorous.
Enlighten me. I don't know what you guys were talking about. I was working yesterday, so
go ahead, Danny.
Okay. Cuomo was being interviewed, the governor, with someone, and he said Trump cannot come back to New York City. And if he ever does, his Secret Service agents won't be enough. He better bring an army because he can't come here.
What the fuck?
Well, and the crazy thing is, I mean, okay, first off, the actual stupidity of the comment is, I mean, obviously that's obvious, but the thing is, what I love about that is Cuomo's like, well, he better bring an army, and it's just like, okay, I'm the president of the United States. Not a fucking problem. Not a problem. You know what? I can bring the Army. I can bring the Marine Corps. I can bring the Navy. I can bring the motherfucking Coast Guard because I'm the president. It's
but the point is,
what the hell?
Was he talking about moving back after he's out of office or just visiting?
No, he was talking about just visiting.
Just visiting.
God. I mean, that's like a threat. Yeah. The left is lost. The Democratic Party, Communist Democratic Party, have lost their fucking minds.
Yes, they have. Well, you figure the mayor of Portland echoed that.
Dude, the mayor of Portland,
Los Angeles, Seattle.
Hold on. Let's just back the truck up for a minute. The mayor of Portland, Mr. I'm going to stand with you and do all this. And then I think it was Portland. Did Antifa show up outside of his high-rise building and try to burn the whole fucking building down? And now he's moving? And it's just like, yeah, because everybody's leaving the city, you jackass, and it's your fault. Is that Portland?
Yep. I believe it is.
Yes, the mayor of Portland is moving because of the demonstrators.
I mean, just hold on. Think about this for a minute. Okay, just argumentative sake, if the Tea Party showed up outside of a high-rise building and tried to set garbage cans on fire in the lobby to set the building on fire, we would hear nonstop carping about towering inferno mass murder.
Oh, absolutely.
But these fuckers, I mean, at what point, the use of force boundaries are getting dropped lower and lower and lower, and no one's talking about it. Here's the thing. If I lived in a high-rise building, this is hypothetical, I'm not advocating this, but just think about this. If I lived in a 12 to 25-story high-rise building or 40-story high-rise, whatever they do, 40 stories still is pretty fucking tall.
Yeah.
It's a really tall building. And you see guys downstairs trying to set your building on fire, and you have an AR-15 or a deer rifle, do you get to shoot them? Because if they set your building on fire, it's going to be like the World Trade Center.
Yes.
What the fuck? If someone starts shooting green lasers at you, if you're you start seeing a green laser getting dragged across your body, and you're out on the street, and that person is trying to blind you, do you get to shoot that fucking guy? I mean, we're to a point now that an argument can be made. Yes.
Yeah,
I agree.
I agree as well. I mean, look,
how far are they going to push it?
In a not unrelated story, it is coming out that U-Haul rental prices have skyrocketed across the country because people are getting out of all the cities. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, I did not. They're moving out of the Democrat cities. In fact, really quick, Illinois is the #1 state for people leaving the boundaries of the state.
Well, you know what's interesting about that? Now listen to me on this. What's very interesting on this is liberal states that have high electoral college numbers will, as the people start leaving those states, those numbers will decrease. And like for example, I think Ohio right now is 16 or 18 electoral college votes. I do remember the time when Ohio was 26 or 28 electoral college votes.
Mm-hmm.
It goes by population.
The number of congressmen you have, not senators because it's 2, the number of congressmen you have, and thus the number of electoral votes you have is determined by population.
Your population.
Which is determined at the census every 10 years. And I believe the bad news is I believe they have conducted most of the census. And so these numbers that you're saying a reset on number of congressmen in your state and the number of electoral college votes your state gets, You would not
It
see
may not.
that reflected for another 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. It won't be reflected for 10 years because they just did a census. I don't think the census is technically finished, but it won't affect this election. I mean, it won't affect this election at all.
It won't.
So, but my point is, with all these people moving out of liberal cities, liberal state, because now look, you can move out of a liberal city and stay in the state, and it won't change anything. Population. Exactly. But if they move out of the state, it could decrease the population for that liberal state. And if they move to a conservative state, it could increase the population. I mean, this is something that we won't see the ramifications for this for another 10 years. But this is a point in history where you could change the whole electoral college map.
You can change it somewhat, but the thing is, the reality is, a lot of these people, we don't know, but I think it would be fair to assume that a certain number of these people, like people that are leaving California, because even though they're like California, the coronavirus shutdown sucks, the taxes suck, maybe the gun laws for them suck, but maybe not, maybe they don't care. A lot of these people are moving to Texas. A lot of them are moving to San Antonio. I'm hearing stories about people moving to Wyoming and Montana. And those people will still probably, like if you're California and move to San Antonio, you're moving to San Antonio for a lifestyle and probably a philosophy that is not that dissimilar from what you had in California. And so those people are probably still going to vote Democrat.
And it's very possible, and I know this isn't a popular theory with conservatives, but it's very possible that enough people from California, because California's got like 8 gazillion motherfucking people there, and they're all goddamn liberal. In Southern California.
It's got like 60 million people, maybe?
It's possible that enough people could move to Texas to turn Texas blue.
Between the people moving to Texas from California that still may want to vote commie, and then the number of illegals coming across the border that may want to vote commie, you could easily see Texas flipping.
Now,
and the thing is,
I don't think
Texas
it'll happen.
For a long time Texas was a Democratic state forever.
Hey, Lyndon Johnson was from Texas, man.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. LBJ was a Texan, and
look at Houston. Do you think Houston's run by conservatives?
No,
hell
I
no.
have family there.
No.
It's insane there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Although
Houston's fucking huge.
I'll tell you what, I like Houston.
I'm girding my loins.
Me too, because if you've ever flown into Houston and you're driving into Houston proper, all you see is XXX billboards with railroad tracks in the middle of that highway. That's all I remember of Houston, and I didn't like it.
I mean, I don't know. So what about strip clubs? So what about 10? I don't know. 8 or 10 years ago, we flew into Houston for a show. And I tell you what, we didn't see a lot of Houston because we were at the show every freaking day, and it was, right down the street from the hospital, or from the hotel, rather, not hospital. But no, I mean, I thought Houston was, I liked it. The people were friendly. Of course, we weren't going through the bullshit we're going through now, Yeah. And of course, we were at a particular show where we were all around people of like minds. So, but now I tell you what, I had a very positive. I've only been to Houston once, in all fairness, but now I kind of liked it.
Let me tell the listener at home, I haven't been in Houston since the 90s, and I was there for work. And I remember
No. You were there with me after the 90s.
That wasn't Houston.
Yes, it was.
That wasn't Houston. That was Dallas.
No, it was not Dallas. It was Houston.
I'll let you two argue that one out.
No,
You talking about
it was the NRA show.
Was that Houston?
That was Houston.
We're not going to mention why we. Yeah, we're not gonna mention why we were there.
Yeah, but no, I mean,
the NRA show was in Houston. It wasn't Dallas.
No, it was Houston, not Dallas.
No. Okay. Well, okay. All right. So you know what? So I need to recuse myself because apparently I misspoke, like Attorney General, and I have to recuse myself from the rest of the podcast. But I was in Houston. I was in Houston in the '90s, and I was there working, and I remember being shocked at how large the city was. Like, if you were to, and this has probably gotten bigger. I remember from one extreme end of the city limits to the other extreme end of the city limits, if you needed to cross that entire city, it was over 90 miles. It's physically bigger or as big as Los Angeles. It is a huge fucking city.
Houston is huge. Now,
it's huge. Also, and I think people that don't ever go to Texas don't appreciate that.
Also, if you remember, we sponsored a rifle shoot in Texas, and this is back in...
That wasn't Houston.
No, but check this out. It was not in Houston. But if you look at the map, it's like 30 miles from Houston.
Yeah, Houston's their biggest city. Yeah, because you're talking about the rifles only match.
Yes, we sponsored that, and even though that was not in Houston, it's like, I mean,
yeah, that's their big city.
Yeah, I mean,
Houston's a semi-coastal town.
I mean, to drive from our hotel that we stayed in Houston to go to this match would be not unlike driving from your house to the range.
Yeah, but the traffic would be so bad. I don't know. Well, okay, you know what? I'm going to give you a different one. Houston is so big. Check this out, dude. Houston is such a big city because you live outside of the city limits of Cincinnati.
Yes, I do.
You could put the edge of Houston in your front yard.
Yeah.
And the other edge of Houston would be in downtown. Would be
in downtown Dayton?
Would be well beyond downtown Dayton.
Oh yeah.
It would be like, I mean, you could go from your yard and like you'd be in the suburbs of Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, well, but you know what though?
It's that big.
I get that. But Cincinnati is a bad example to use. And for the people that are listening that don't know about Cincinnati, if you look at the greater Cincinnati area, the GCA, it's a very large area. However, unlike LA, New York, Houston, a lot of your larger cities, Cincinnati has an incorporated area, and it's very small, actually. However, you have St. Bernard, Cheviot, Deerfield Township, Green Township. You have all these areas that are part of the greater Cincinnati area, but they're not part of the city, and they have their own fire departments, their own police departments, their own central government, their own city, city or town.
Congratulations, everybody. Freeze has discovered suburbs.
But what I'm saying is if Cincinnati would have done what like New York did and gobbled up all the surrounding areas, Cincinnati would be a huge city.
Oh, turned them into
Okay,
boroughs.
I got one for you. And actually, I can even this goes back to a podcast or two ago. So do you remember the night of all the shootings in Cincinnati made national news? 18 people were shot, yada, yada, yada. And I was downtown that night at the mail center, and like the truck probably fleeing one of those shootings crashed right in front of me, right? Yeah. That was on Liberty. That road is called Liberty. Well, check this out. The reason that road is called Liberty is it used to be from the river up through Cincinnati until you hit that road. You were in the city limits. When you crossed Liberty, and it used to on the other side of it was outside the city, and so you were in the Liberties. That neighborhood was called the Liberties, and there was all kinds of, brothels and bars and clubs and criminal activity on the other side of Liberty Street. That's why that street's even called Liberty, because that used to be the border of the city, and they eventually crossed and took more of it. That's where Liberty Street has nothing to do with liberty and the American way and blah blah blah. Yeah. It's about getting away from Cincinnati law enforcement.
It was the red light district.
Yeah, at one point. Before, early on.
Yeah. Hey, I have a question about Cincinnati. Do the police there still wear white hats?
Yes.
Really? I thought maybe they phased out or something.
Okay, so
check this out.
Hold
on, check this out. Our police chief here in Cincinnati, traditionally, and you'll notice this if you're watching the news, everybody. This started happening about 10 years ago. If you're watching the news in any of these cities, and there's normally a police chief or maybe an assistant police chief, look at what's on their collar. Okay, and so like you look at the police chief of like New York City or maybe LA, because they are huge police departments. You know, it would be nothing to see guys with 4 stars, like a full general, a military insignia, 4 stars.
Yes.
Because they've got, 30,000 fucking officers. And so they got to have sergeants and lieutenants and captains and lieutenant colonels or whatever. In Cincinnati, the police chief in Cincinnati always wore a full bird colonel. He was called a chief, but he wore a colonel. Nobody ever wore general stars in Cincinnati. When Chief Craig, who's now the police chief in Detroit, and he's on the news every so often, when he was the chief in Cincinnati, they called him a gypsy chief. He started wearing the 4 stars of the bigger police chiefs. And the reason these guys were doing this, when they would go to the police chief meetings around the country, if they're wearing the full bird colonels as the chief, they may not immediately be recognized as being a chief in the hallway when you're talking to somebody from LA or New York or Chicago or Houston. And I remember seeing Craig, all of a sudden he's wearing 4 stars of a general. And then like they had a guy come down from Columbus who should know better, and he was wearing the 4 stars, and that was like they ran his ass out because he wasn't very good at all. They had to pay him off, and then they promoted from within the city limits or within the police department. The current chief of Cincinnati is a career Cincinnati police officer again, which is the way it always been, and he went back to wearing the full bird colonel insignias because he's not going to wear the stupid 4 stars. And I got to tell you, when I see a police chief of some mid-sized town, and he's wearing like freaking general stars, like, okay, maybe 1 star, like if whatever.
Butler County Sheriff, the cowboy hat guy, he wears 1 star.
Good for him. I mean, I could see that.
Yeah,
I could see that.
Butler County's a good. Butler County is a big county.
Yeah, I mean, look, Sheriff Jones definitely knows how to get some media attention.
Yeah.
I mean, he is our version. Sheriff Dick Jones is our version of who's the guy from Arizona, Danny? Joe Arpaio.
Yes,
he's our
Sheriff Joe.
He's our Joe Arpaio. Yeah, he's literally just like they do shit for the media. Like, I mean, look, Sheriff Jones wears a cowboy hat. I mean, no offense to Sheriff Jones, but I mean, Freeze, you've lived in Ohio your whole life. Is this a cowboy hat part of the country?
No.
Yeah, but Sheriff Jones wears a fucking cowboy hat.
But you know what though? I look. I'm going to throw him a bone. Butler County's pretty rural. It's a lot of farm country out there. So,
it's not as rural as it used to be.
No, it's not. It's not. But if you look at a lot of sheriffs, look at Jim Neal. Jim Neal's a Hamilton County Sheriff right now. He wears your typical sheriff's hat, which is kind of like a cowboy hat. It's got the sheriff's badge.
That's a uniform hat.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. It's a uniform hat.
It's not Smokey the Bear.
Yeah. I mean, it's not quite a Smokey the Bear hat, but it's a similar style uniform hat. So, I mean, it's really not. I mean, look,
Dude, you are reaching.
Yeah,
so
I'm
fucking
reaching.
far.
I am. I admit it. I'm reaching.
Hey, Freeze, before I forget, did you like that gun content question I asked you about the slug barrel?
I did not write it, no. But
No, I said, did you like it?
Oh, I know. I liked it. I thought it was an excellent question.
I didn't even see it. What are you guys talking about?
Well, go ahead. Throw the question up, Danny.
Okay. How far of distance, let me say, Freeze, you'll have to help me out because I'm trying to remember, but how far of distance out of a 12 gauge will a deer slug travel?
Travel?
Right.
Well, no.
Pretty fucking
How did
not
I can't Freeze. You better help me out on this.
Okay,
I wrote it to
you take
right.
any gun. You take any gun. You hold it at 45 degrees and pull the trigger. That bullet's going to go a long goddamn.
Travel is not the correct.
Right.
What is
How
the
did I phrase
effective? What is the effective kill range of a 12 gauge deer slug?
That's what it was.
And my response was, it depends. I mean, do you have a slug barrel? Do you have a cylinder bore smooth barrel? Are you shooting a Sabbath slug, or are you shooting a Foster slug? Personally, I think between 75 and 125 yards is a maximum kill distance for a deer using a 12 gauge shotgun with a cylinder bored barrel with a Foster slug. Now, when you get rifled slug barrels with Sabbath slugs, it does increase the distance. And I think, honestly, in my personal opinion, and I've shot well over 100 deer with a 12 gauge shotgun over my hunting, over my 40 years of deer hunting.
Ohio's a shotgun state.
Ohio is a shotgun state. I personally, even with a rifled slug barrel, I would not attempt a shot over 150 yards. Now, like,
who's the company that sells the one that they rate for 200?
Okay, so you have an H&R single shot in 20 gauge that's got a slug barrel, and if you buy the Hornady Sabbats that they recommend in that gun with their scope, they're saying that you have a viable kill range of 200 to 250 yards. And I don't dispute that. However, it's a particular gun with particular ammo. Now,
yeah, and that's a hell of a good shot. I mean, the average person with a shotgun hunter, unless they're practicing, I mean, you're talking, you got to be a really good freaking shotgun hunter.
My longest kill with the 12 gauge shotgun is about, and I never used a rangefinder to range it, but it was probably about 110 yards.
I remember it was like about 110, 120.
In that range.
And that's a hell of a good shot.
And probably
not doing that with a rifle.
No, mind you, my hunting shotgun is, I call it a Mossberg 500, but it's not even a Mossberg 500. It's their cheaper line. It's a Maverick 600, which is like the cheap end of the Mossberg line, which that in itself says something. But look, it's got a 24-inch cylinder bored smooth barrel, and out of all the shotgun slugs I've ever shot out of it, and I've shot numerous brands, Remington green box slugs, Foster slugs, they're just standard Remington deer slugs, are the most accurate out of that gun. I mean, I've shot Winchester, I've shot I've shot Federal, I've shot all different brands, but the Remington shoots best out of that particular gun. And honestly, from 50 to 75 yards and in, I'm killing deer all day long. I can kill deer further than that, but to be honest with you, I'm not real comfortable with shooting 100-yard plus shots with the 12 gauge shotgun because I'm not shooting Sabbats. I'm not shooting I don't have a rifled slug barrel, which does make a difference, and that's not to say someone can sit there and say, well, I've got a Remington 870 with a rifled slug barrel and I shoot deer 200 yards all day long. That may be the case. But
Marky, you will be impressed if you look back at our conversations off pod, and Freeze and I were talking about this. I got the feeling that Freeze was happy I asked the gun question.
No, I
live in Illinois.
I was happy that you asked actually a gun question, especially related to hunting.
Freeze is Mr. Shotgun.
Yeah.
You probably, I would imagine. I don't want to speak for you, but I like if your life was dependent on it, like to make a shot, whatever the shot would be, to do something, I would suspect your go-to gun, if you're like 100% has to be done, can't miss, even if it's shooting a person, I think you might reach for a shotgun.
Oh, dude, yeah, absolutely. Look, it's actually all dependent on the situation, depending on what I have, whether it's my handgun or my AR or whatever the case may be. But if I had, look, if Antifa was coming down the street, if Antifa was coming down the street and I had to defend my home, I would be loading up all the shotguns. Now I'd be loading up rifles as well. Don't get me wrong. But
hold on. Let me ask this. Let me put it this way. If let's say we're sitting at the range and we're at 100 yards at the 100-yard shooting position, and I've got a target directly across at the 100-yard impact zone.
Okay.
And I say freeze. There's a target. It's the size of, I don't know,
a
8.5 by 11 sheets. Two 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. And I were to say, if you get a first shot hit on this paper, you get this big cash of $1 million. And the guns that you have, you probably would choose your AR, but I know you would think about picking up your Maverick 600.
Well, look, let me put it to you this way. With the example you just gave, I could pick up the AR and make the hit, and I would be $1 million richer. But I could pick up the Maverick shotgun, or I could pick up the Vepr 12, or I could pick up the Winchester 97 and still be $1 million richer, because I am just as, within 100 yards, I am just as proficient with any shotgun than I am with an AR.
But here's the thing, depending on the shotgun and how you have it set up, you pick up an AR, it's like, has anybody touched this? Or the sight's been fucked with? Has it been dropped? Is it whatever? Yeah. Your shotguns, bead sights, and
it's there.
Sometimes you shoot shotgun with scope. It's going to be there. Wherever you're used to it holding, it's going to be there. And it's about familiarity and all that.
Well,
I guess we are into the gun section of the content. So let's go ahead and move on to some stuff here. So did you guys hear that Lipsies through Glock is worked out a deal? They're probably buying 30,000 of these. The first run is going to be 10,000. Lipsies is re-releasing the Glock Gen 1 pistol.
Yeah, see,
Glock 17.
I saw the article and I just don't fucking care.
But what they're doing is they're marking the guns as P80 from the Austrian army.
No,
and those are pretty rare guns.
Well,
because that's the original Glock.
Okay,
the original Glock 17 was adopted in Austria, by the Austrian army, and they designated the P80, and that's really what once they got that contract, some other countries in Europe started looking at like, hey, an army actually adopted this, and like some other armies adopted it, and that's what made the Glock.
Yeah,
is that P80.
Now, if I was a Glock collector, I would not be happy with this. Because the 6 P80s that I actually have in my collection, now I have to worry about the market being flooded with aftermarket P80s.
they're doing something where they're doing, I can't remember some of the differences, but there's a few things they couldn't do. Like the barrels are not the same profile. I guess the original Glock P80 had a thinner profile barrel, and they're using the same fonts, but there's a few differences they're doing. Some of it because they're doing it intentionally, but some of it it's they really couldn't. No Glock collector is going to have any trouble telling these apart. But you're right, it will in some level depress the desire to purchase a P80 because they're so rare.
Why do I want to buy your original P80 for $1,000? And I'm making up dollar amounts here. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they're worth $1,000, but why do I want to buy yours for $1,000 when I can buy a new P80 being made today for $350? Or 400.
Yeah, it'll be like it'll be like $585 or something. It'll be priced right with regular.
Okay, so I can buy a brand new one for $600 opposed to paying you $1,000 for your original. I mean, so from a collector's point of view, that's going to hurt. But in all fairness, it could actually make the original P80s worth more. Because
it could, because it highlights what most people. I would venture to say most people that own Glocks don't even know what a P80 is.
I was just about to ask.
Yeah. So
I really was. I have no idea.
The Gen 1 Glock 17s have become so valuable. Well, I mean, relatively speaking, they're not like expensive 1911s.
Well,
but,
they're not.
They're so hard
they're
to
not
get.
Colt Pythons.
Yeah, and I was just like, you know what? It's smart of Lipsy's to do that. And I'm impressed Glock even did it. And I just thought that was cool. But also in other news, because I think the best striker-fired handgun by design today is the HK-VP9. I still believe that because it's a truly ambidextrous, ergonomically adjustable gun. And it looks like Lithuania's army has decided now to adopt the VP9 as well.
Good.
That's
good for them.
The VP9 is marching on as well. So
yeah,
I mean, we'll see what happens in Europe with the P320. If people will run Glocks, or maybe some of them might switch to the M17. Some of the armies, because that's what the Americans run. I guess it kind of depends on the future of NATO, but I thought that was, I always keep an eye out for the VP9. I thought that was interesting. Also, Freeze, you'll like this. So you know how Wilson's you can buy the modules for the 320 for like $60 or whatever it is, and Wilson's got nice modules out now. Mm-hmm. There's a company out now called ICARUS, and they're making a 320 module. That's probably not crazy money, but it's geared towards competition shooters, and it's got all this crazy shit on it, which which is neat. Like if you have a 320 and it's like you want to go and, you're like, hey, I'd like to maybe go run with the boys down there with all the fancy shit on their shirts. But, I want to be competitive. You can just buy a grip module that maybe might help you it's got a big giant magwell on it and some other shit. And that is a home run.
It is a total fucking home run. Absolutely. Because what it does is it takes the average guy who can take a average gun and turn it into a race. Well, maybe race gun is a little far off, but
he can get closer to a race gun than he doesn't have to spend $1,700 on a whole new gun.
Yeah, exactly. So for a reasonable amount of money, he can go into the game and, I'll say it. He can compete with the big dogs. Maybe not win, but not be embarrassed either.
Yeah,
assuming you can shoot, because you can buy a $3,000 race gun and still come in dead fucking last if you can't shoot. I mean, you have to be able to shoot. But what I'm saying is these kind of mods takes the person who doesn't have big sponsors or big bucks behind them, and makes them able to compete with your pros.
Yeah, I just it's an example of the true genius of the 320.
Yes.
And I thought that was pretty competitive. So I just
I've been a super fan of the 320 since before when they introduced it, before it was even out for production. I was a fan of it. What blows my mind away today is the fact that I don't actually own a 320.
We'll get there. We'll get there eventually. So Doc's got one. He had it over here at the. He actually had it over here at the.
Yeah, well, you know what? You know what? Screw Doc. It's not on my desk right now.
Well, go buy one.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Somebody's been day drinking.
No. And look, I just got off freaking work.
See that? I could tell. I could actually. About 20 minutes ago, I was like, Freeze is having his nightcap. I can tell.
Look.
Is tonight your Friday? Or is today your Friday night?
No, tomorrow night's my Friday. I'm actually still drinking. Actually, a pretty tepid cup of coffee right now. Unfortunately,
along with
no.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, we've been going long, and so I want to go ahead. I want to wrap this one up with our police blotter story, and this is an example of 2020 getting crazy.
Yeah.
And finally, the kids from 1950 who watched the like Futureville were going to. Like what the future is going to be like, flying cars and jetpacks. There's a story coming out of California a couple days ago, and the headlines have been basically the same. Mystery rocket man reported near LAX.
Dude, I heard about that.
Oh,
I heard about
check
that.
this out.
Yeah.
An airline pilot is reporting that he saw this guy on a jetpack 300 yards from his airplane, which is not far, and he was 3,000 feet in the air.
See, so I heard that, but here's my question on the validity of this story. And I don't know the answer to this. I'm just throwing it out there. At what altitude do you have to be at where you have to use oxygen?
Not 3,000. It's
no. I know it's not 3,000 because I know you can skydive at 3,000 and you don't need oxygen. I mean,
you're not skydiving at 3,000. You're doing a static line jump at 3,000.
Yeah, but
you can do. I've jumped at 3. I've done my very first jump was at 3.
Yeah.
But you can go. But he's nowhere near needing oxygen. But listen to this. Here is a transcript from the air traffic controller and the pilot. So, Tower America 1997, we just passed a guy in a jetpack. Then a second pilot comes on and says, yeah, we saw the guy too. And then the air traffic controller gets quiet and he goes, only in LA.
God, isn't that the truth?
That is awesome. And apparently, let me see here. Apparently the FBI is even trying to track this guy down.
Well, but look, okay, so I know several actual pilots as well as you do. And I know if he's in restricted airspace, he's definitely, even if he's in a jetpack, he's definitely in violation of the law. Because
his problem is anything above about 500 feet is controlled, not restricted. I would say it's controlled airspace.
Okay. Fair enough.
So, especially like if they're approaching or approaches to and from, runways, anywhere within many miles within like LAX, it's definitely heavily controlled airspace. And this guy just popping up at 3,000 feet. Everything you pop up 3,000 feet, pretty much anywhere, unless you're in like Wyoming or something, you are violating controlled airspace. I can almost guarantee it. Like this way, Freeze, your house above your house.
Oh shit! I'm on runway pad.
Those planes coming in over your house are not 3,000.
Oh no, the planes coming in over my house are maybe 1,000 feet.
Yeah.
I mean, they're low.
But here's the thing: if you got a jetpack, if you fly a drone above your house more than like 400 feet, just straight up over your property, the footprint of your property, it'd be an FAA violation because you're not allowed to go up that high into controlled airspace. They're going to find this guy.
Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, look, I don't know about the 400 feet with the real drone. Question is, I guess, but I know right over my house is if I'm standing on my deck, it's to the left of my house, but basically I'm on a runway flight plan. They're lining up to land. And
you're on a final approach glide path.
And I mean, I've got 747s. I've got what's the Airbus? The A300s. I mean, I've got the big jets as well as the small ones.
The big Airbus is it the A3? No, not the A3.
Is it
A320? The giant one. There is a giant one that flies over your house every once in a while.
Well, I'll tell you what, Danny, this is interesting. I'll be out on my deck and we'll just be talking on the phone. I'll have him on speaker, and it'll be to the point to where he can't actually hear me talk over the engine noise of these big ass Airbuses that come over.
That's close.
I mean, they're not very high. I mean, they're huge. I tell you what, I have seen Air Force One come over my house when Obama was president. I haven't seen it lately. But check this out. Hours before Air Force One, a big I think it's a C-117 or what's the
C-17? It's a C-17
that carries all the president's armored limousines and shit that comes in a few hours before the president. I've actually seen that come over my house.
Well, is the Cincinnati airport in Cincinnati proper, or is it on the outskirts?
No, it's in.
It's actually not even in Ohio.
It's actually in northern Kentucky. It's called the designation is CVG, which is Covington, which stands for Covington because it's in Covington, Kentucky, but it's called the Greater Cincinnati Airport.
It's in
It's not even in Covington. It's actually in like Hebron or something. It's actually not in the city limits of Covington.
Actually, to be honest with you, it's in the Hebron/Burlington, Kentucky area.
Yeah,
but they do call it Covington because when the airport was built, it was
the nearest city in the state.
Yeah, exactly, and
that's why it's called CVG.
Yeah, and it is an international airport. So.
Wow. Of course, where you live, you could throw a rock and hit 3 states.
That's actually true. Yeah.
which is why the John 1911 Armory staff is on a first name basis with the ATF concerning the transportation of NFA items.
Yeah.
Because we can cross state lines multiple times a day. So. Yeah. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. So this wraps up episode 186 of the John 1911 podcast. If you want to see any pictures or stories or links of anything we discussed, please go to our website, john1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody, have a good day.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.
See ya.